Fuck, it's cold out there. Alright, everyone, settle down, grab a seat wherever you can. I apologize for the state of the ready room here. As you can see, Probed Base hasn't gotten a lot of love since the end of the Cold War. Now, this is exciting though. New AO, new employer, whole new set of challenges to deal with. And for our first briefing here in the area, our friend Jimmy in operations was good enough to put together a briefing. So here's the rundown for Operation Half-Ass. Now, as you know, we were hired by the Mitsuhashi Fishing Group to conduct security operations here in the Bering Sea. And I'm sure you're also aware our esteemed clients have a pretty bad micromanaging impulse, and they want us to do things by the Toyota way, the Mitsubishi School of Management, Kanban, continuous improvement, whatever the fuck that means. Bottom line is, we gotta play things safe. This ain't the Wild West, this ain't Angola, this ain't Tibet. We can't do whatever we want to, we gotta do things by the book. This means we are giving our bosses what they want and not a drop more. Now, before I get into operations, I want to talk about the OPFOR in this theater. We're dealing with some tough customers here, gentlemen. Right now, we've got Iceberg and the Bering Sea Native Corporation, and they brought in some heavy artillery. Iceberg's got Canada Express, Bering Sea's got the Blue Star Alliance. These guys are tough, veteran air mercs, and they know what they're doing. Now, right now, the BNSC controls some prime real estate in St. Lawrence Island. And unfortunately, when they paddled out there a few weeks ago and killed Anger Peace, they also got their hands on all the weapons Anger Peace was stockpiling. The most dangerous thing they got was a French Mamba surface-to-air missile system. This thing is dangerous. It fires Aster 30 series missiles. These things have got a max range of 60 nautical miles. To give you some perspective on what that means in practical terms, if you look out the window over there, look about 5-10 miles away. That's the outer bubble of what that missile can reach from St. Lawrence Island. To make matters worse, it has a radar that has a 90 nautical mile range. That means it can see everything we take off, everything we land, every approach, everything. Getting the element of surprise, even with jamming support, is going to be virtually impossible. Now, there is some good news. Zach managed to get us a CIA satellite pass a few days ago. And from what we can tell, it looks like they had an accident at the Aster battery. At least one of the launchers got broken open through explosion, fire, something, and scattered propellant all over the hill. Now, we think the rest of the battery is still operational, but it's weaker than it otherwise could be. However, BNSC's filled in the gap pretty well. They got some Roland 3 short-range SAMs and possibly some Mistral missiles helping them out. That means that making an SDB strike on there, well, we could potentially pull it off. It'd be expensive, and it would be difficult. So I'm afraid we're having to let sleeping dogs lie in this mission and leave that battery alone today. Now, they do have some pretty serious air and surface combatants here. In the air, like I said, they had the Blue Star Alliance. Now, these guys are operating a mix of old Cuban, Venezuelan, Mexican, you name it, Latin American equipment. Now, I can imagine they're not all that happy up here in the cold Bering Sea, but they've got enough weapons to do some damage if they choose to do so. Basically, they look a lot like the old Angolan Air Force, and probably about as tough. Now, on the surface, they also have some old French equipment. Now, BNSC's Navy ain't big, but in a pinch it can do a good job. We estimate they have 2 or 3 old Combattante 3 or Combattante 2 French missile attack craft. These things have got deck guns, man pads, but more to the point, they've also got their hands on some Exocet anti-shipping missiles. They've also got a French Corvette that hucks these things too. These things can reach a range of 35 nautical miles. These things are fast, they're dangerous, and they'll fuck up any ship they hit. And as the British found out in the Falklands, Exocets ain't nothing to fuck with. Now, we've also got Iceberg. They're our most immediate threat. Up in the north, they're operating out of places like Nome and Alaska. They've enlisted the services of Canada Express. Now, Canada Express, these guys are tough, they're veterans. They earn their bones in this AO, flying missions in Siberia. They're good at cold weather ops, and they know what they're doing here. Probably even a little bit better than we do. Now, they're operating old CF-118 Hornets. These things are pretty much the same as the old Spanish or old U.S. Navy Legacy Hornets. They carry AMRAAM-Cs, but more worryingly, they've also got their hands on some Harpoon anti-shipping missiles. 75 nautical mile range. They're fast, they're accurate, and they can hit pretty much anything they want to. These are a major threat to Mitsuhashi shipping vessels. At sea, they don't have a big navy, but they got a pretty potent one. They are operating a flotilla of old Norwegian motor torpedo boats and fast attack craft. Now, they've got some old hawks, we think. These things are old motor torpedo missile boats. They fire Penguin missiles, they got a small deck gun. They're not all that dangerous, but they probably have 6 or 7 of them. More worryingly, we also think they have 2, 3, maybe even 4 Norwegian Skjold fast attack surface craft. These things are incredibly dangerous. They carry multiple naval strike missiles. These things are cruise missiles with a 100 nautical mile range. Over the horizon attack capability, very, very risky. These things also go like a stuck rat, 60 knot top speed in good seas. And to make matters worse, they're also pretty stealthy. These are a prime target for us. We've got to keep our eyes peeled for them. Now, our operation here is going to be pretty simple. Right now, we're dealing with protecting 8 damaged Mitsuhashi Sakana fishing vessels. After an EMP strike by Anger Piece, it managed to fry these vessels. Now, Mitsuhashi's been working overtime to get these things working again, but Mitsuhashi's very close to bringing them online. Unfortunately, we have intel suggesting that Iceberg and BNSC are both making a play to knock these ships out before they can get online. Also, we've got forces approaching us from the south. 3 more Sakana-class ships. Now, we do have some help on this operation. In the south, our old friends from Angola, SMARF. They're going to be providing close air support and a cap to protect the southern convoy. We've also got some help from a Dutch group, Dunkirkers. They're operating 3 old Dutch frigates to help protect the Sakanas. But for the time being, we are the primary PMC in the area, and we have to act like it. That means we have to protect the Sakana ships at all costs and stop BNSC and Iceberg from popping them. That's why we're following Operation Half-Ass. Now first, let me give you the boring stuff. I Spy, Big Pig, and Little Pig. You guys are doing what you do best. I Spy, you're in the Argus S-100. You're taking off, and you're going to orbit point I Spy at max altitude. You're looking for air targets, and you're looking for surface targets with your radar. Big Pig and Little Pig, you guys are taking off in your KC-135 and your VC-10. You're going to head to a racetrack between Point Jack and Point Mare. You're going to fly at medium altitude and give our boys tanker support to the main combat group. The Spurwar UAV, you're flying circles over Pravd Harbor, and you're acting as a tripwire in case the Alaskans sneak attack south and send ships to engage us and blow up our airfield. Now, working our way from south to north. First off, we have Vaca Flight. Vaca Flight is 2 AMXs armed with GBU-16B paveways. We also have 4 Kafirs. They're providing the close air support, or I beg your pardon, the combat air patrol. They're armed with 2 Derby missiles apiece. Your mission, orbit Point Cabeza at 36,000 feet ASL. Your job is to locate and destroy any BNSC ships approaching the convoy. We expect you'll have data linking from the Wedgetail being operated by SMARF, so hopefully they'll spot it for you. Your job is also to provide secondary cap in the Mitsuhashi convoy. If SMARF cannot take down air targets, the Kafirs, your mission is to merge and destroy the enemy aircraft. Stay on station until all friendly ships are out of range. Now, you're operating some pretty short-legged aircraft, so we recommend that you start a little bit later into the operation, but I'll leave that up to your squadron commander to see what he wants to do. Janet Flight, you're operating our 2 Mirage F1CRs, your recon birds, so we're using that way today. You're going to be equipped with recon pods and chaff pods. Your mission is to stay in a recon pattern around St. Lawrence, holding altitude patterns and staying on the edge of the exclusion zone we have set up around the Mamba. You can see what that looks like. Your job is to scan as much of the perimeter as possible before you return home. One group will fly east to the upper part of the island. The other aircraft, you're flying south along the west. At all costs, do not engage the enemy. If you are approached by enemy aircraft, turn tail and RTB at max speed. If you do have the ability to rearm once your recon mission is completed, you'll go back with paveway bombs and help Vaca Flight. Now we have Tarpan Flight. Tarpan Flight is the Reaper. That's you, mate. You're deploying to Lavrentia Airport and flying east by southeast, heading towards the border of Iceberg-controlled territory. Your mission is to get a quick peek at some of their land sites and then skim the edges of St. Lawrence exclusion zones on your return to Pravd Airport. If you see any planes incoming on your course, turn that drone around and get back to friendly lines ASAP. You are not, I repeat, not to get shot down today, meat. We also have Conic Flight. This is our Atlantique armed with 2 Exocet missiles. Our good friend Jimmy's flying here today. They're going to be flying racetracks up and down Diomede Island to the edge of the Zebra Cap area. If they see any enemy ships in range, they're engaging with Exocet missiles. In the event that they see any enemy aircraft, their job is to beat feet, get behind the Gripen shield, and only return back once the danger's clear. The main goal of this flight is sea control, searching for enemy vessels with its radar and IARP systems, and providing a secondary recon picket for our cap ships. Now, we also have Paso Flight. Paso Flight is our 4 F-16 DJs. They're armed with AGM-154 Charlie JSOWs, the Sniper XR pod, and a Lantern pod. These things have got glide bombs on them, and some very good reconnaissance and targeting capability with those pods. We're also going to be flying with our EA-6B Prowler today. That's call sign Windmill. It's carrying 5 jamming pods. Paso Flight's objective is to be our active reserve for the cap. It's carrying as well on the F-16s a mix of AMRAAM missiles, so they can engage both sea and air targets. This flight is a Swiss Army knife. It's a reserve that can provide an aerial response force for any situation we need, on the sea or in the air. They're orbiting at Point Watchtower and refueling as needed until our operation is complete. They're going to fly at 36,000 feet and engage any targets they need to. The Prowler is also holding here, and they're providing jamming assistance to provide planes in the area. OECM on at all times to provide cover. You also have Kiang and Zebra flights. These 2 flights are covering the Zebra and Kiang cap zones, respectively. Gentlemen, I want you to make no mistake, these things are our most important flight. Their job is to protect our processing ships until they come back online. They are not leaving until the Sakanas are home free. The Gripens are packed to the gills with meteors on this operation. The Tornadoes are also carrying the max load of Sea Eagles. This is a triple threat. The Gripens are going after any air targets we see. The Sea Eagles on those Tornadoes, they're going after any sea threats that we see. They're going to refuel as needed, but we want them to stay on point until the Sakanas are clear. Finally, we have a reserve of our 6 Phantoms carrying GBU-12 laser-guided bombs. They're also carrying FLIR pods and defensive electronic countermeasures pods. Gentlemen, they're our reserve. You're on Alert 15 at Lavrentia, and your job is to provide any kind of air-to-air or air-to-ground support we may need in the event that we have a breach from the south or in the event our Gripens need more air support. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for this operation to start. Get to your planes, start pre-flighting, take off in 25 minutes. Thank you.